All right, so now we are recording. Hi, everyone. This is Alan Ogden from Glutathione Authority. Just to give you a little brief history about me, it's kind of amazing. I was thinking about this today. It's 50 years ago, last month, that I started my internship in a drugstore. 50 years ago. I was 15 years old. I started working there. I felt like I had found my home and place in life, and it was really awesome. Then I became a pharmacist. I went to the University of Alberta. I got my degree in pharmacy. I also, at the University of Alberta, in conjunction with the University of Denver, got a diploma in geriatric pharmacy. Then I went to the Live Academy in British Columbia, and I got a CNPA, which is Certified Nutritional Product Advisor, and a CNSPA, Certified Sports Nutrition Product Advisor certificates. Then I went to Phoenix, where I attended a college there and took energy medicine. I've been involved in the medical profession. Now, the last time I worked in a drugstore was 2014, and my license was good until 2017, so I let it expire, so I can now say I'm a retired pharmacist, but I had a wonderful career. In the last many years, I've been helping people understand how nutrition actually plays a significant role in their overall health. And with me tonight is a very good friend of mine. He's from the eastern part of Canada. His name is Robert Gauthier. He's the president of SimCorp. And Robert was instrumental in developing a glutathione product, now marketed as GSH Complex, and a couple of other products around that. So I'm not going to take any more of Robert's time. I know that he invested a considerable amount of time, effort, and energy in developing these products. And good evening, Robert. Thank you for joining me here on the event.
Well, good evening, Alan. It sure is a pleasure to be here tonight. Now, just to make sure we're on the right page, are we discussing GSH complex, or are we discussing Viprox tonight?
Well, we're going to discuss Viprox, the system, but I think everybody's seen a big picture of the GSH complex, which is an essential part of the Viprox system. But absolutely, I want you to tell you're the story that you told me about air, water, nutrition, all the things that we talked about.
All right. So, look, first and foremost, before we get going, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here tonight. Obviously, you're very busy, and everybody on the line tonight are very busy people. But I want everybody to know that the information we'll be imparting tonight will be quite valuable, so we will not waste your time. But for this to happen, Alan, this is very important. People need to keep an open mind, because some of this information might seem extravagant for some, outrageous for others, and some might find done right unbelievable. But you know that what we're going to be discussing tonight is actually science-based. Obviously, we are a patented therapy, clinically proven under World Health Organization standard, peer reviewed by 2 universities in the United States, and the foundation for what we'll be discussing tonight, GSH Complex, is actually backed by, as you very well know, close to or just now over 150,000 medical articles. So
Yeah.
we're talking about science-based approach to health. That's basically what we're going to be discussing tonight.
Fantastic. And as I understand it, Robert, that you have a particular philosophy. I know that you've worked in this area for a long time. You work with scientists who are developing and working on the immune system from many years ago, and that helped you develop a philosophy. But tell me how you got to the point where you wanted to develop what it is that you were developing, the Viprox system that we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay, so before we get going, then Alan, if you'll permit, I'd like to go back in time, because some people are skeptical. Some people don't believe in new invention, new technologies. And tonight, what we're going to be discussing is actually a new approach. So I'd like to go back in time to set the proper stage. Not so long ago, obviously, not so long ago for some, but some might think that it is quite a while back. There was a belief that if you sailed the ocean, you would be, you would be
fall over.
You would be demon possessed, and you'd fall over and never come back.
Yeah.
But then the gentleman by the name of Galileo, who showed everybody that this was actually not true, and he actually changed what we call astronomy today, what we call science and mathematics. So obviously he was right and everybody else was wrong. Now, not so long ago, in your field of activity and mine, in medicine, doctors used to use the same scalpel on cadavers as they would use on a person, a live person. And then there's a doctor by Louis Pasteur who came around and said, look, guys, this isn't correct. And we have to change the way we do things. And he was actually laughed at. And his license was threatened. And basically, where are we today with sterilization around the world and in hospitals? So obviously, there is an evolutionary process. Martin Luther King, if you look at Nelson Mandela, they changed the views when it comes to human rights, but yet some of them were imprisoned, and then obviously one of them was put to death for his belief in equal rights. So what I'm trying to paint as a picture here tonight, Alan, is I want people to keep an open mind. In the United States, there is a university called the Rife University, and it teaches what we call unconventional wisdom, the right to think outside the box. That's basically what they yeah, and it's actually quite interesting because if you look at Google now, they have a department just for that, not to think the way we all think and to try to see what the future holds. So basically tonight, my biggest wish for your listener is that they will have the right to think outside the box and have the right to dream of a true quality of life, because that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. We're going to be offering a true quality of life to your listeners. Now, for this to happen, though, you need to understand something. At SimCorp, we define health not as a mere absence of disease. That is the conventional way of looking at things. This is the pharmaceutical way of looking at things. This is the medicine way of looking at things. We define health as total spiritual, emotional, physical, and yes, financial well-being. And that's important because 90% of disease is your environment, and the lack of money creates the stress, which creates your environment. So we're talking about something totally different here. We're talking about offering a different solution. Instead of attacking a specific condition, what we want to do is to look at it as a holistic approach. And for those of you who are new on the line tonight and listening to this for the first time, when we say holistic, it's not esoteric. It's treating the body as a whole, not as a mere entity. And that's very important because when you treat the body as a whole, you're going to be able to give your body a more complete approach to health. And that's the premise for what we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, Alan, I know you asked the question, what is it that we're going to be doing tonight? Before we go to the next step, I'd like to introduce myself because I want to make 2 points here. My name is Robert Gauthier, as you mentioned. I am the son of a pharmacist, and I know that you're a pharmacist, so obviously you'll relate to what I've got to say here tonight. And before his death, my father was medical support for the second biggest pharmaceutical firm in the world. And I know people are thinking, well, how is this relevant to our discussion? It is very relevant for something. Growing up and as a young man and even as an adult, I was always sick. I had 1 to 2 colds per winter. And actually, I got 15 bronchitis and 2 pneumonias that put me in hospital. I actually came very close to dying. And back then, basically, I had access to the best medication and the best doctors for free because of my father's contacts. You've had contacts in the industry, and obviously you know that it's very important. But back then, we used to pay for these things. I had it for free, yet I was always sick. So I decided to study the human anatomy, and then I took a different tangent at one point, and I started treating my body holistically. Now, you need to know something. I am 63 years of age, and for the past 20 years, I have not taken so much as 1 aspirin. What is the difference between before and after? My father, in his wisdom, his knowledge, and obviously he cared for me, every time we had a certain condition, he'd pop a pill, which is normal because he was attacking a certain condition. And then I started, exactly, because you prescribed a lot of these things and then you filled out a lot of prescriptions thinking thinking that it was the right approach. But then I went into the holistic approach with what we're going to be discussing tonight, and I haven't been sick for the past 18 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a true quality of life. But you need to understand something. The second reason we're here tonight is because some 20 years ago, I got a horrific statistic that 15 million children were orphaned of AIDS in Africa. Now,
That is a horrific statistic.
yeah, because you need to understand that means that 30 million parents had died. And obviously, since I've gone to Africa to take care of this problem, 97.5 million people have died of this disease.
Wow.
Now, I know. And you need to understand, these children were grown up without the love, care, and attention and guidance of their parents. And my wife and I, we took a decision we would find a solution. After 7 years of research, 47 years of empirical studies, we have what we're going to be discussing tonight, and it is called Viprox. And that's important. But I know that on the line, a lot of your listeners are saying, well, I don't have AIDS. I don't need any of this. You need to understand something, people listening to this. Nobody dies of AIDS, even in Africa.
Right.
They die of opportunistic diseases related to compromised immune system. Now, in their case, the culprit is the AIDS virus. But in America, and I know that this is more guided towards the American market, in North America, you need to understand that the culprit is actually your environment. And that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. If you live on this planet today, according to the World Health Organization, all the air that we breathe is carcinogen. By definition, being on this planet, our immune system is affected. That means that the patents that we have and the clinical studies that we've done apply to everybody in North America. And that's why it is important for me to discuss where I came from and where we're going tonight. But for this to happen, we need to agree on a few premises. But I'd like to give tonight, set a proper stage, Alan. Everything we're going to do is going to be as simple as 1, 2, 3. We work in a trilogy. But I'd like to give a statistics for your American listener, or listeners, I should say. Did you know that 19% of the gross national product in the United States is spent on healthcare?
19% of the gross national product is spent on healthcare in the United States.
That's right. Which is $3.5 trillion a year, which is actually 4.5 times more than the defense spending of the United States, which is bigger than the 25 leading countries in spending in armament. And the healthcare, which according to our medical advisor, Dr. Benner, says your disease management is 4.5 times bigger than this. Yet, wow, the United States is 37 in the world when it comes to life expectancy. Yeah. So inevitably, the system's not working. And a lot of your listeners tonight are looking for alternative means, and we're going to give them what we believe to be the best alternative means for their quality of life.
So I just want to back up for a second. So United States spends 19% of its gross national product, or $4.5 trillion on healthcare.
No, 3.5 trillion, which is 4.5 times higher than the defense spending of the United States. Now,
yeah, wow.
People know that the defense spending is big.
Yes.
It's massive. And for people to wrap their hand around it, it's actually bigger than the 25 leading countries spending in armaments.
Wow.
So I'm trying to paint a picture here.
Well, and I think in the United States, they're trying to fight disease rather than encourage health, which is what we're talking about.
Exactly. What they're trying is to attack disease.
Right.
And what we're going to do is empower the human body. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
Now, this being said, there are 3 different premises that we need to agree on before I can keep on going. And since your listeners can't answer, I will ask you the question and you will answer if you believe or if you don't. The very first premise, okay? would you agree that we are all made up of energy and cells? From the tip of our toes to the top of our head and everything in between is a cellular structure. Actually, it's 100 to 150 trillion cells, and every one of these cells have energy. Do you
Absolutely.
agree on that?
Yes.
Perfect. Now that's the right answer, by the way, for all two other questions. Now, second question, okay? Your body has the intrinsic ability and desire to remain disease-free given the right substrate. So when I say substrates, Alan, for the benefit of your listener, we're talking building block. And for those who want to have it even more concise, it's just fuel. Would you agree if we put the right fuel in your body can actually heal itself?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I was in on one specific clinical trial years ago in geriatric pharmacy where we conclusively showed that no matter what a person's age was, at the cellular level, it would respond and seek to be healthy as it possibly could. Age had nothing to do with it. I mean, it stands to reason because cells are renewed annually, monthly, sometimes weekly, daily in our bodies. So those, you might be 96, but your cells are not 96. No, so at cellular level, we need the building blocks, and people have heard me talk a lot about amino acids as the building blocks of nutrition. So yes, I agree with that one.
Perfect. Actually, just to get people on the right track, every 7 years, we're a new person. Now, what we're going to be discussing tonight is a way to accelerate that at a breakneck pace, and actually within a few seconds of ingestion. That's basically what we're going to be discussing. But the third premise is very important. Would you agree, and according to SimCorp, diseases don't exist? Don't answer now, because that sounds outrageous. And I know we've got doctors on the line, we got professionals, we have people who have suffered from unbelievable illnesses for their lives, and they're going to say, doctors are going to say, well, are you telling me that what I've been doing is wrong? And the other ones are going to be saying, are you telling me I never was sick? That's outrageous. And trust me, I'm not crazy.
Right.
According to us, diseases don't exist because they're all cellular dysfunctions. We're going to be treating cells. The cells take care of the tissue, and the tissue takes care of the organ. And it is that simple. So basically, diseases don't exist. They're basically easily stated as cellular dysfunction. Could you agree on that?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because when I wrote my thesis, How Does Your Body Know How to Stay Sick, years ago, and the fact is that you have to have cellular dysfunction on a regular basis in order to have what we call a chronic disease. So it is a cellular situation. It's actually transferred cell to cell. The new generation of cells coming along pick up the dysfunction of the previous generation for the disease to continue. So yes, it's cellular dysfunction manifests as what we call a larger state, a chronic disease.
Perfect. So then if we agree on this, then it's easy for us to go on. Now, tonight, as a blanket statement, but also as a profound belief, we're not here to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Correct.
It would be illegal for us to do so. We are in the cellular health business. And if we take care of the cells take care of the tissue takes care of the organ, and the organ takes care of the supposed disease or of the diagnosis of the disease. It's that simple. We're not here to make doctors out of anybody here tonight. What we're here is to treat you at a cellular level, and that's all. Now, this is very important, Alan. We guarantee the results because it works, and it works at the root cause of any dysfunction at the intracellular level, not only the cell, inside the cells. And that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, this being said, do you have any questions for me?
Well, no, I agree with you. That's, you know, in the years of my study, right from university, where we had pharmacology prof who made the same assertion that you've made, and this is 40 some years ago. He made the assertion that we were forgetting, in treating the disease, as we call it, we were forgetting the cellular health. We were overlooking a very primary part of how the body keeps itself alive and keeps itself functioning by overlooking the cellular health. And he predicted, you know, 40 some years ago, that at some point we would be we would be using amino acids, peptides. We would be using the nutritional ingredients that, as you call the substrates, the building blocks, would actually be what we would be using to treat disease. And that medicine itself would have to someday address the fact that we need to be treating the body at a cellular level. So I think we're both on the same page. Even though I come from the medical background and you come from research background, we're on the same page.
All right, good. This being said then, as I just stated before, it's going to be as simple as 1, 2, 3. There's always a trilogy.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, trilogy all the time. So Viprox, what is Viprox? Well, first of all, Viprox has a significance. V in French stands for life, and prox for a proximity to a quality of life. That's what we offer. Now, our approach is different than everybody else. We address the 3 elements necessary to sustain life. Do you know what they are?
Well, air, water, and nutrients.
Exactly. It's that simple. Now, when we get to the biochemical reaction, it gets a bit more complicated, but we're not going to do that tonight. I want people to know that we have 3 elements in Viprox. And the very first element is called GSH complex, and it will answer what we call cellular health and basically the air that you breathe, which is very important. So that's element number 1. We're going to bring this to a peak performance. This is what's very important, because tonight we're not only going to be addressing people who are sick, we can address people who are very healthy, athletes who want extra energy, who want better performance. The second element is une vie, and that element is going to be for cellular hydration and cellular conductivity. We are made up of 67 to 70% water, and inevitably what we want is our cells to, 150 to 150 trillion cells to talk to each other, and that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Very important. The last but not least is called tyreosine, and that product is there for what we call assimilation of nutrients. Now, there is an old adage that says, Alan, that you are what you eat, and that's not exactly true.
No.
You are what you eat, what you digest, and what you assimilate. And when we put all 3 of these functions together in a product called Viprox, we give you 98.9% efficacy on all degenerative diseases of nature related to man. And basically, this has been proven in a clinical study. And what we're going to be discussing tonight is how it will happen, but in a nice and concise way of doing things.
Okay, I just want to interject here. So we're talking about GSH complex, which is providing the detoxificates, that it's dealing with the cell itself. We're talking about envie, which is the water. And then we're talking about what I would say in Western English, triozyme, or because I don't say, my French is very, well, I can make a Frenchman cry, so when I speak French. So triozyme, envie, and GSH complex make up what we call the Viprox system.
That's right. It's
okay.
A system. It is a trilogy. It is a package. It is there, as we said earlier on, we're going to treat you holistically. We're not going to attack a certain condition. We're going to re-empower your body by balancing your body. If we were to give one statement to say, what does Viprox do? It will rebalance your organism, and your body or your organism in a state of balance has the intrinsic ability and desire to evict disease or to protect you from the ravages of your environmental condition. That's basically what we're going to do.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to discuss about the very first component called GSH complex. Now, as you well know, because you're very well versed on this, you're the glutathione authority, I will bring a different spin on what we call glutathione. So the very first product called GSH complex, and GSH is actually the medical abbreviation for the word glutathione. Well, it's actually glutathione peroxidase, but we're not going to get into the the biochemical reaction. I just want people to know GSH stands for glutathione, or GSH complex to me spells out good solid health complex. Why?
Very nice. Good solid health complex.
That's right. It will elevate your glutathione production. Now, glutathione has three major functions. It has many more than that, but it has three major ones. The very first one, which is very important to me, it is actually your master antioxidant. And what do we mean by antioxidant? Well, when you breathe, you rust like a nail. When you're attacked by certain chemicals in the environment, you rust like a nail. Now
Yeah.
you have a God-given ability to counteract this, and it's called GSH. Now, the higher the GSH, the more you have the ability, the lower, then obviously, the more you get attacked. When you're 20 years of age, you produce as much GSH as possible. Now, at age 40, you can produce 20% less. At age 60, you can go 40% less. And at age 70, people have seen up to 60% less production of GSH intracellularly. Would you not agree, Alan, that between the age of 60 to 70 is when people usually get sick?
Yeah, actually, there's a statistic, Robert, that we used in medicine. 80% of all pharmaceuticals are consumed by people under the age of 5 and over the age of 65.
Wow.
So 80%. So you got kids that get colds, coughs, etc., and they're on antibiotics and all that. And then at 65, like you say, something happens to people, and all of a sudden they start to, manifest all sorts of different symptoms. And we go into this, what I believe, as a regimen of now we're fighting, we're attacking, we think we're attacking the disease, but we're actually attacking the body. We're attacking its ability to be as healthy as it can be.
Exactly. And what you're doing is actually putting more toxins in an environment that cannot handle it anymore. Because
Right.
people need to know something. A pharmaceutical product is an antigen and a foreign substance, which basically the body will recognize as being a poison. That's basically what it is. And the more poison you put in the body has to react, the more your immune system is affected, the more your antioxidant function is depleted, and it is a vicious cycle. Now, of course, it will attack a certain condition, but a lot of people are looking nowadays, Alan, for the miracle cure, the silver bullet. It does not exist. And I want people to understand this. It doesn't, and don't take my word for it. Open your TV set during the night, just stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to see all of these, class action suits against pharmaceutical products that basically have given a lot of more damage and good that they've done. Now, also, take a look at the commercials, but read the fine print. You will take something for, let's say, psoriasis, as to give an example, but you can have liver failure, you can have loss of vision, you can have actually death, and then they go on. And then I look at this and I say, intelligent people will still take these products, even though they can see that the side effects are actually worse than what they're trying to fix.
Yeah.
But it was done in an environment which is basically a legal environment. So there are no silver bullets. And that's why we're taking care of the body holistically and we're not attacking a disease. So the very first function of GSH complex is as an antioxidant. Now, I know a lot of people, wonder, look, Alan, it's very simple. You've got very good antioxidants that are on the market today. You've got vitamin C, you've got noni juice, you've got zengo juice, you've got pycnogenol, you've got CoQ10. People need to know that unless your GSH levels intracellularly are high enough, these antioxidants can become oxidants and they can do more harm than good.
Yes.
So the foundation, the grandfather of all antioxidants, the most powerful antioxidant known to man is within your body, and it is triggered through GSH, which is glutathione. And that's basically what. How does it apply for everyday use? Is very simple. You've probably, if we were to walk the streets today and ask anybody, are you tired? Are you fatigued? Are you stressed? Are you depressed? 90% would say, hey, that's me. It's basically me. Or it's somebody in my family. That's actually a side effect of having your antioxidant function being depleted. Now, another thing we could ask them, would you like to age gracefully? And I don't know of any women who would say, no, I want to, have wrinkles and I want, well, actually, that's antioxidant function. So basically, what we do is we protect the cells. We're actually the best anti-aging product available to people today, and I'll prove it to you. We actually, what we tell people, if you use our product internally and externally, that means it's topical, it's transdermal. We can put it on the skin. We guarantee that a 55-year-old person and older will look 10 years younger within 1 month of use. Now, I know that's a very bold statement, but I want to be very graphic here tonight. I want people to understand that you need to see that your biggest organ in your body is actually your skin. And if
Yes.
you can physically within 1 month regressing of the aging process, you know how much work had to be done inside to protect your cells, your
Right.
100 to 150 billion cells. So that's basically the antioxidant function. Now, just for people to understand how powerful this is, there is a silent debilitator in the United States right now, North America, and it's called fibromyalgia. Most people don't know what it is, and it is actually a byproduct of all the stress that we have nowadays. And women, actually 10 million women are suffering silently. And I'd like to go back in time, if you'll permit, Alan, for people to be, I want to be graphic. We might take a bit more time that we discuss, you and I, but I want to be graphic about this. 40 years ago, women burned their bras. They went on the workplace and they thought, well, I'm going to go and get a job and I'm going to be well paid. But then lo and behold, they were paid half of what, the men
Yeah.
were less proficient than them at the same job. And they were actually mad inside. They were going to work with resentment. And when you have resentment, when you are stressed, you're not breathing properly and you're accelerating what we call the oxidative function of intracellular damage. And that's what they started as a process. But then women are multifunctional. They went home after 8, 12 hours of work, being resentful of, having a high education and having a low paying job. And then they would go home and they would have to do the homework with the children. And next thing they would do, they would have to do the supper. And after the supper, they would have to do the dishes. And after the dishes, they would have to basically, bathe the kids.
None of their other duties went aside just because they went to work. No, for sure.
Exactly. And it got worse because while they were doing all this, the husband would say, hey, listen, it's a third period in the hockey game. Could you get me a beer, hun? Because I don't want to miss what's happening. And then it just got to a point where they got burnt out. And then what they had is chronic fatigue. They would start crying on their own, not telling anybody. And I know that on the line tonight, people are listening. They know it's either their mother, their sisters, themselves. They've went through this. And that was the very first stage of this, debilitating condition. And the next thing would happen is they would have a total burnout, could not function at work. People started seeing that they were not functioning at all. At home, things were not working. So they go and see their doctors. And if you recall, the doctor would say, it's all in your head, dear. We'll give you an antidepressant. We'll give you 2 weeks off, and then you'll be back at work.
Yes.
But then, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yes, almost 60% of the female population in the United States has been on some kind of mood-altering drug or antidepressant.
Exactly. And it's not their fault because it's actually a condition of high achievers. Everybody thinks, being depressed is because, you're a loser. You're not a loser. You're a high achiever. You don't cope with what the society is giving you, and you're trying to compensate by being good. But let's go back to this woman. Now she's on a burnout. And then she goes back to work, and then after a few weeks, bang, she's off. Everything hurts. It hurts like if you got bit by a snake. And people, you might think I'm exaggerating. No, talk to your mothers, talk to your sisters. You're going to understand. They can't make love. They can't do anything because it hurts. Because the oxidative effect in the cells got to a point that it's close to being a poisonous condition. Now, I'll give you a story, Alan. One of our oldest customers, some 14, 15 years ago, her name is Denise. She had been off of work for 8 months because she had fibromyalgia. And we gave her the product through somebody that knew her on a Saturday. She didn't take it on the Saturday. She took it on a Sunday. Now you need to understand this woman could not even pass her vacuum cleaner. Her daughter, for the past 3 years, was taking care of her. She took the product on a Sunday. Monday morning, 9 o'clock. She's feeling very good. She said, "Well, I'm going to start doing, a bit of housework." 3 months later, she had a job, and to this day, she is functional. Now, I
Wow.
know that most of you on the line are saying, no, a natural product cannot work that fast. Well, you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. And I'll prove it to you. Everything is a biochemical reaction. I have water. I'm talking here, and obviously I get dehydrated. The second I take this water, my dehydration goes away. There is a biochemical reaction in my body because I took water. It's a natural product. It is not a drug. It is not pharmaceutical. It is all natural. Now, why do we think that a natural product cannot give you the same result? Because we've been indoctrinated in thinking that only pharmaceutical products can do the work. It is not true. So, GSH complex as an antioxidant, and we could go on all night on this, is basically the best anti-aging product. It is the best for when it comes to chronic fatigue, burnout, fibromyalgia. We could go on because there are so many conditions that people are suffering from. But I just want to give a short overview of what an antioxidant can do. And I want you to know something, Alan. We can put this in the eyes. Cataracts, macular degeneration, loss of vision. We have an ophthalmologist in the States who have saved 470 pair of eyes.
470.
That's right. From going blind, not with operations, with this. He was actually sued by the state where he is stationed. And when he went in front of the judge, he showed all of his documentation. And the judge says, "I don't put people in prison for helping others." And he refused the cause. And what he used, and he's still using today, is one of our oldest customer, is GSH in the eyes with UNV, which we'll be discussing later on. So that's the very first function. I could go on. I'm sorry, Alan.
We need to move on, right? For sure. We're going to get way too long.
That's right. The second function is to rebalance the immune system. Now you need to understand, a lot of people want to have a very strong immune system. They want to boost the immune system. That's a marketing ploy.
That's a marketing ploy. Yes.
That's right. What we want is to rebalance the immune system. We want to upregulate the immune system for a viral infection, bacteria, or a parasite, as we're all affected by. But we also want to downregulate for an autoimmune hyperactivity. Nowadays, asthma, allergies are rampant with children. That's your immune system attacking your body. What we want to do in the organism is to downregulate the immune system so that you can have a nice balanced immune system. Now, everybody knows how important it is to have a balanced immune system nowadays because it's your first line of defense against any invader.
I think it's a really good point, Robert. I just want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Somebody just sent me a message about that, about the difference between boosting and balancing the immune system. And, I like to tell people it's like a teeter-totter. So an unbalanced immune system is like you're on the teeter-totter. Guy's got you up in the air, can't let you down. And then what drugs try to do is just pull the one end down. What we're doing is balancing the teeter-totter. Our immune system is a teeter-totter. It has a positive and negative aspect to it, antigens and so on. And you can't just push it down or just push it up. It needs to be balanced. The body functions in a biometric balance or in an energetic balance. So that's a really cool. I like the teeter-totter. It's very simple to understand.
I think you've got the best analogy. I want just to bring it to common, everyday, basically people. Let's take my case. 15 bronchitis, 2 pneumonias. The past 18 years, I haven't had a cold. Now, that's a quality of life. That's balancing your immune system.
Yeah, it's quality of life. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we could talk about lupus. We could talk about MS. We could talk about a lot of conditions. But for tonight's discussion, we're just going to say that the second condition is to rebalance the immune system. Last but not least, is we're going to detoxify at a cellular level. Inevitably, that's important in this day and age because I said at the beginning that 90% of the disease was environmental. Part of the environment is the air that we breathe. It is carcinogen. The water that we drink, it is not clean. I don't care what you say, it isn't clean. And then inevitably the food. We got pesticides, we got the hormones, we have all sorts of stuff going in our food that our body is not used to. But you need to understand also, we've got pharmaceutical products. I'm not against pharmaceutical products. I'm against the abuse of pharmaceutical products.
Yeah, me too. I'm not against pharmaceutical products. I never tell anybody not to take their product, but I'm against the overuse or the abuse, if you want to say that, of them, or the irrational expectation that people have of what they're going to do for them when their body is out of balance, and they think that if they just take a pill, everything's going to balance out, and that is the irrational part of medicine. That we can just add another pill, and that is completely irrational.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a wrong indoctrination over the years. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, yes.
We had a doctor, Dr. Baker. She used to be a specialist when it comes to heavy metal toxicity. She took 5 patients who she thought she had cleaned out of mercury, and then when she put them on GSH complex, she had found that there was still mercury coming out of the system, being that we proved we were a better chelating agent, but we were better at excreting toxins from the body. And that's important because I'll give you another example. There's somebody that works with us and he used to own a hog farm 25 years prior to coming to us and saying, Robert, I got aches and pains, I'm tired and all this. He was in 70s. I said, look, we're going to detoxify you. Well, when we put him on the product, his wife just threw him out of the house because he smelled.
He smelled really bad.
He says, Robert, it's been 25 years. I haven't had a hog farm. He says, and then I said, you don't understand. Your cells, actually your fat cells, will grab onto these toxins to protect your brain. And at one point, it will be released in your organism. It will be called Alzheimer's, Parkinson, atherosclerosis, cancer. And what we did is we basically bound to these toxins and excreted them from your system. And in your case, it came out through your skin pores, and then you smell bad. But long story short, after a week, it was done. But it just proves that you got to get these toxins out of your system, or else it will be called a major ailment. And all 3 of these benefits is what makes up GSH complex. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Now, the most important sentence here tonight, which is very important. All so-called diseases, according to science, are preceded by a loss of intracellular glutathione. So it only makes sense that if we elevate your glutathione or GSH inside your cells, you will keep disease at bay. It's that simple.
Yes, that's simple.
So, this being said, this is the very first component. A lot of people tell me, well, Robert, if that's the case, I got cellular health, I don't need anything else. In theory, they're not wrong, Alan.
Right.
But in practice, it's not true. Because it would be the same as doing what pharmaceuticals do. We'll just be taking care of one aspect. What we got to do now is take these healthy cells and get them to talk to each other. That's where une vie comes in. You are made up of 67 to 70% water. Inevitably, we should take care of having the best quality water. But what's more important, the water is a structured solution, which will take the benefits of the GSH, act as a cofactor, and bring the GSH inside the cells expediently, and then excrete the toxins. And then the message, the intracellular message that comes from the 60,000 more proteins that are within, the mitochondria of the cell, and send it to all the other cells and send a positive message instead of a negative message. And that's what the une vie will do. It will do a lot more, but I know I can see in your face, I have to expedite things. I gotta get going. So it is there for cellular hydration and cellular conductivity.
Well, I was just going to say, there's companies now marketing particular waters as redox systems. In other words, messaging system, and they add some salt or they do this or that. But the fact is, our body uses water. We know that water is a very good electrical conductor, and all of the messages basically that are sent in our body are either carried in a peptide or sent as an electrical message, a neurotransmitter. They're electrical messages. And so we need adequate water to enable our body to talk to itself. Absolutely, 100%.
And it goes further. GSH, one of its functions is to bind to toxins, make them water soluble, and excrete them from the body. Well, if you don't have the right water, how is it going to make it out of the body? A lot of people will constipate and they don't know why. A lot of people get adverse reaction. They don't know why. When you have the right delivery system, it will take all of these toxins and expediently take them out of your system. It's got more function than this, but I'll go to the last one. The very last one is actually Triosym. Triosym is a beautiful little product. It's actually, people don't know this, but enzymes are life.
Enzymes are life. You said that to me when we were talking about doing this event, and I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. Most people don't, like we understand the body in a macro sense. We need protein, we need, sugar, we need this, we need water. But on the micro level, everything that happens in our body has a trigger. It has a catalyst. It has an enzyme. They have different names, but even manufacturing GSH, which is why you can't take ready-made glutathione and get the effect, because genetically your body needs to make enzymes in order to have that whole process work, and nothing in our body works without enzymes. That's why I love Triosym, and I'm interrupting you, but I want you to know that I'm very excited about this.
I like when you jump in because you bring a different spin. People don't know this, but you just said it. But the thought that you have about my accent as a listener tonight, there had to be an enzymatic function to trigger in your brain. So when we started studying enzymes, science said there's about 5,000 enzymatic activity in the body. Then 2 years later, they said, oh no, there may be 50,000 to 100,000 enzymatic. But since we know that every thought process has an enzymatic function, then we have an infinite enzymatic function in the body. You
can't even count them. Can't even count them.
So it is a product which is, a digestive and metabolic enzyme product, which means that as a digestive function, it will take, let's say you eat a hamburger and I eat a hamburger, a Big Mac. You will assimilate maybe 16% of the nutrients. I will assimilate 5 times more. Now, what's important, since it's balanced by nature and it has protease, amylase, lipase, it will actually digest the sugars, it will digest the vegetables, and it will digest the protein, and then it will take them. And the most important aspect here, it will, the digestive aspect is to digest, but then the metabolic function will take the nutrients and send them where your body is most deficient. Now, a lot of people don't know this. If you have a sore elbow, you're missing vitamin A in that elbow, your body will steal it from your other elbow or your knee and try to bring it there. Right. And you're always in a state of imbalance. But when we did a clinical study, we discovered that the patients after 6 months who were all deficient in vitamins were balanced after 6 months. We were not looking for it. Then we realized how important the metabolic function of the product was. But then we also discovered it renders the body into an alkaline condition. Now, you know that cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment. So there are so many, and when people say, well, how do I know that I'm missing enzymes? So it's very simple. I bring it to a very simple term. I ask people, if you're 40 years and over, tonight at 12 o'clock, we're going to have a pepperoni pizza together and we're going to drink beer. Most people tell me, you're crazy. I won't sleep all night. I won't be able to digest.
Yeah.
Your body just told you you're enzyme deficient.
It's that simple. I forget the statistic just off the top of my head, but I looked it up a little while ago, how many people have GERD, which is ultimately a real proof that you have an enzymatic deficiency. When you have GERD, it's a horrendous. As a matter of fact, when Tagamet first came out, cimetidine first came out, they expected it would sell a certain amount, and it actually sold 7 times that amount. So there was people literally, gravitating towards this reduction of this terrible feeling that they get after eating food, and they're battling it by reducing acid instead of doing what they need to do, which is increasing the enzymes in their body, right?
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know this. If past the age of 60 years old, they've seen that a lot of people are having 90% less gastric juices. So they need to have their food digested another way, and enzyme is the natural way to go. Now, to prove it, if somebody has acid reflux, indigestion, chronic bad breath, you give them 2 of these, and within 5 minutes it's gone. I've had some patients who are on the prescription medication who never had a quality of life and say, what's in this stuff? And I say, just enzymes. It's nature. That's all it is. And nature, and you know what, Alan, a lot of people wonder if I'm lying. I say it's very simple. Take my product, and this is what I do at Christmas. I take a very nice roast, and people say I have the best roast ever. I just crunch this on top an hour and a half before I cook the roast. It starts digesting the roast. I put it in the oven, and then they say, my God, your meat just comes apart. I just digested the meat before cooking the meat. That's
it's interesting. If you go into I'm just going to bring another aspect, but if you go into a bookstore and you go to the diet section, you'll see literally hundreds of people who have formulated a diet for something. And the other day I was standing in a bookstore. I'm looking at all of this. There's the one on wheat and gluten and this and that and all that. And I look at that and go, all of these have in common one thing: lack of enzymes. If you have GERD, if you have IBS, if you have a condition in your intestinal tract that's bothering you, it's because you lack enzymes. Like, it's pretty simple, but we have this belief that things have to be so complicated. Tonight we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But we've been led to believe that things have to be complicated. We give things complicated names that people can't understand in the medical profession. And yet, we have, like you said, I remember when I was back studying enzymes, and we were trying to figure out how many there were. Well, there's a few hundred enzymes, And the reason was we couldn't capture them and we couldn't identify them because they last that long. They have an activity that's that long. And now we know there's literally thousands and thousands we just don't even know how many enzymatic reactions there are in the body in any given day.
It's infinite, I'm telling you. Now,
infinite, yes.
Alan, all 3 of these products put together will rebalance your whole organism, and your organism will have the ability to evict conditions that you're inflicted with, or to protect you from the invaders. It's that simple. And we guarantee the results, no questions asked. If a person buys Viprox and they don't get an undeniable result within 1 month of use, following the instructions, we will give them back their money. That's how convinced we are of what we're offering here tonight. So, this being said, do you think that you have a few questions from your audience?
Well, I do. I actually have some questions. Most of them are disease specific, like how does this work in diabetes? How does this work in cardiovascular disease? How does this work in, I call them the itis diseases, arthritis, neuritis, anything that ends in itis is actually an inflammatory disease. And we talked about how GSH complex is providing your body the ability to produce the mother of all antioxidants, glutathione. I think that most people would know that in all illnesses, there's a measure of dehydration because your body is using the water to try to get rid of either a toxin or the offender, or whatever it is that's causing that. So, your system is just so complete. In fact, you provide protein, you provide a water as a delivery mechanism, as a conductivity ingredient, and then you provide enzymes. And I know there's lots of controversy about, is there a prebiotic, a probiotic, this, that, whatever. But the fact is, we use enzymes. We need enzymes when we break down our food. I was reading an article just recently where researchers discovered that we don't chew our food like we used to. If you watch one of your animals chewing its food, it will take the time to chew. You don't see animals gulping down their food in 30 seconds so they can get back to TV. They will chew their food. We don't chew our food. We hardly even know we had food in our mouth sometimes, and it's in our stomach. And then it's passed, and when it's out of our stomach and into our intestinal tract, we don't have the same complement of enzymes in our intestinal tract. We don't have the same pH. Our stomach pH is different than our intestinal tract pH. Right. And we need those enzymes. We need our food broken down. As you said at the front, I want to just take right back to the front. You said we are what we eat. That's not right. We are what we can absorb and what we can utilize in our body. That's the enzymatic function. Everything has an enzyme. Everything needs water. And glutathione, back in 1888, even when they discovered it, was declared the second most important molecule in the body next to water. So that's, it's an amazing complete system. So I just want to encourage, we could answer a lot of questions tonight. I don't know if you have any sort of, parting comments you want to make, or because if we get into disease-specific things, we could do a session on each one.
And you said something very important. First, you talked about diabetes. A lot of people, will treat diabetes as a blood sugar problem. It's not. It's an immune dysfunction.
Yes, yes.
It takes care of that. If you're talking about chewing your food, very important. Well, why did we make our product as a chewable product as an enzyme? Because you've got saliva, you got sublingual assimilation, and then you're chewing this, and then you're starting the whole process in your mouth. And so what we're trying to paint again as a picture is that we're really going at the root cause of every one of these three elements necessary for life. That's basically what we're doing. And when you do this, people, it's unbelievable what your body has the ability to do. Your body has the ability to recover from anything. Now, are there acute cases that we're not going to be able to take care of? Absolutely yes. But they only represent, according to our scientific study, not even 2%. Now, that big pharma will go for, with a 2% efficacy, will even go to market with a product. We're going to market with 98% efficacy, and we're guaranteeing the result. We're going to give you back your money. Look, Alan, in the best years before, the United States had its financial problems in 2006, we sold 1.8 million units in 3 years.
Wow.
And we had the same guarantee. And guess what? The results were so unbelievable that nobody asked for their money.
Well, Robert, I think the way to sort of wrap this up. This has been a tremendous discussion. A lot of information covered here. Is just telling people how they can get this product, and literally on the Glutathione Authority Facebook page, if they go to the Buy Now button, they click on that Buy Now button, it will take them right to a link where they can purchase the Viprox system. If when they're on that site, if they would just put in TGA10, so that that it came from this show, this event, that would be very helpful, because I know you like to track where people are coming from. We like to track that as well. We like to know that we're making a difference in people's lives. But very, very easy to do. This recording will be posted. We're going to make it into a YouTube so that people can pass it around, send it out to their friends. And I want to summarize it by this. I think that your product has covered the bases from a cellular level. All the things I've learned in the last 50 years of being involved in the medical profession, the most important things I learned was our body functions at a cellular level. And we have to take care of the body at a cellular level. We need good nutrition, we need good food, we need good detoxification. When we have a chronic ailment, it is because of an imbalance in our body We call it a disease. I call it a dis-ease. We have an imbalance that is showing up as symptoms which make us uncomfortable. And our natural reaction to that is, how do I get rid of these symptoms that are making me uncomfortable? That's what the pharmaceutical profession focuses on, is getting the symptoms out of your way, instead of doing what we're doing here tonight, which is getting you to understand that your body, I mean, you never have to think about healing a cut on your finger. The body knows how to do it. Doesn't matter if you're 1 year old or 91 years old or 101 years old, it's going to heal your finger. The body never loses that ability. So by providing basic elements to the body, we don't have to diagnose. We don't have to become medical experts, because the body is a medical expert. It's been keeping us alive, will continue to keep us alive. So they can click on the link, buy now link in the Glutathione Authority, get right to the Viprox system, put in TGA10. That would be wonderful. Any parting comments, my friend?
Yes, listen, I really appreciate that you invited me here tonight. And you know what? I would like to have a follow-up, maybe question period with some of your viewers, because I'm sure that a lot of them will have certain questions. But I think this is the beginning, and I really appreciate that you took the time to be here tonight and to invite me, because you could have invited anybody here tonight, and I feel privileged of having been on your show.
Certainly my pleasure, and thank you very much. And I know it's late for you in the East, so have a wonderful rest of your evening. And what we'll do is we'll have people submit their questions so that we can kind of pre-design a follow-up show and just answer questions, and maybe we can get BeLive to work at some point, and then it can be totally interactive. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll look forward to chatting to you soon. Robert Gauthier, my pleasure. Bye for now.